Boy, we are live in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage for the first time in a week. Yes, you've seen me with that guy that once upon a time was the front man of Motley Crue. Yes, I had on that singer whose video has 1.5 million views from LYLVC Lilac, Ali Zavalala. But now it's time for an overdrive of a week of coverage here. And to kick things off, there is no better man to do it with. And you might want to say, was it the biggest weekend of his career? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about last night, where is he or is he not Silas Walker's guy? We'll get into that. We'll talk about Brent Sabbath. We'll most certainly talk about tonight, because it's an end of an era between him and Dominic. But also, we now know that his career will continue in the backyard and on top of YBW. And he'll go out on his terms. But I will have to ask that question. Why, Aaron? Why? After he did what he did, even though Dom, finally we doubted him, and we couldn't doubt him anymore because he had to say no mas. He didn't want what could have been his way. Maybe we'll even get into that Grimm reference there. Maybe a headline could be GTS. After all, I mean, there are some DBW guys that have been there in GTS. I've got to throw that in there, and I'm going to have a little surprise in my intro of this man because I've been thinking about it all day, and I can't wait. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce this man and get this started here in style on Sportzwire Radio, the number one global radio station where all music and all wrestling matters. So, with that, wait for it. What do I do here? On the Sports Report. Number one cable sports show. The man that is simply on top of the underground wrestling mountain. He's certainly not going to burn out here, but Brent Sabbath may have. He is the reigning, defending YBW champion and Silas Walker's guy. His name is simply put the headline. And praise the greatest traveling wrestler in backyard and underground wrestling history. The 8-time trailblazer is here. My friend, how are we doing?
Great. One of the greatest intros for one of, if not the greatest of all time, back on Sportswire. It's that time of the month, ladies and gentlemen. The headline is in the house. It's great.
Yeah, I was really excited to work in the intro because I was thinking about getting your entrance in there because I hadn't done that before. And I was like,
caught that. I caught that. It was great.
I haven't done, even though I did do 2 shows in the last week, because really my arm unfortunately has been in a bit of pain. But I did 2 shows, but I didn't get a chance. When I do the Rock ones, I always tell the Rock guys I can't do the intro because the Rock fans are like just want to hear the singer or the performer. But when I get a chance to get someone like you, I figured let me do something different. You've been on here a gazillion times, and we're back basically almost at the 2-year anniversary of you coming on for the first time. But Aaron Blaise, there is a lot to talk about here. Now, I could go in the direction of talking about what we just witnessed in YBW, but I'm not going to do that because I've been really looking forward to talking about you in DBW. We have that opportunity now, and let's set the tables for us, because to start the show, now Silas Walker kind of teased it last Friday, but he did basically give us who he picked, and well, he sort of picked you, but I guess I have to ask that question for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the greatest traveling wrestler in backyard underground wrestling history, Aaron Blaise, the 8-time trailblazer that you are. I mean, are you Silas Walker's guy or what?
So when Silas made his selection, I don't think anybody but Silas knew. Some part of me wants to say that a couple people were made aware, and word of mouth goes around, but I especially had no idea that he was gonna pick me, of all people. And it's kind of funny considering what I've said about him, what he said about me, yet he still marketed me to be the future of DBW in his eyes. And I thought long and hard about it. He's shared a word or two with me. He's spread across his wisdom. And, it's hard because a lot of people label this being the biggest thing I've ever done. DBW is really the place to see if Aaron Blaise has it on the microphone, in the ring. Let's see if he can hang with the biggest names there is in a real proper wrestling league. And for better or worse, but recently worse, I have. I mean, I got my first win not too long ago at DBW Overdrive. My first win. But I want to win more. I want to go above and beyond. I want to do what I've done in companies like YBW and not just become a champion, but the champion. And I've been all around the world. I've done this, that, and the third. But for DBW, it's like an ocean. I'm no longer in the ponds and in the lakes anymore. And part of me, honestly, has been thinking, if I want to get there, maybe this is the way to go. Maybe in order to really become a true legend and solidify that, nail it to my tombstone so no one can take that away from me after I pass, I need to flip on over, or maybe flip the script a bit.
It's a great point. I had also picked up on the ocean reference because when I had Silas on here last Friday, we talked about that joining DBW. Now that it's been about a year or so since you've been in DBW, you are, well, really this fish, whether it's a small fish or big fish or not, you're in a fish in a pond like DBW's. You've never been in a pond like this. It's obviously a very, very deep roster with some of the very best talent, and many of them have done things, not just in the underground and the independents, certainly a bunch of them, the Brooklyn Prodigies, Aaron Jones, Mr. Judgment, Ace Christian. I just talked about Ace Christian last weekend. He wrestled in Arkansas, Texarkana, Arkansas, and he wrestled there at HCW. And, obviously he's been in WDWA yesterday back there. I mean, it's a long list of companies that him and other guys have been in. So coming in here, you now have that opportunity to prove it, but now you're Silas's guy, it seems, and I can understand where you're coming from in some ways. Some people say, like, the guy that's coming on here in your chair next Sunday, Zachary Depew. I mean, I'm going to put the footage up here in a few minutes. I mean, he had a lot to say about Silas Walker. He's got a long history, and he's going to talk about his laundry list of complaints about Silas Walker next Sunday, but he was certainly giving you, well, his 2 cents. And what did you think about next Sunday's guest, Zachary Depew, and, well, what he had to say to you about Silas Walker?
See, it was great meeting Zach. Hell, it's great meeting a lot of the DBW guys. I grew up watching most of them. I knew Zach way before he was even in DBW. I remember when he and a couple of his guys used to collaborate together and show that they're the real deal when it comes to, backyard and underground wrestling. I grew up on that kind of stuff. Um, but I can appreciate where Zach was coming from because he didn't approach me as a fan. He didn't even approach me. Well, he kind of did approach me as a friend, but he looked at me as a fellow worker, as a fellow competitor, as a true star. And he knows how far I can go. There's a lot of people that talk their talk and believe that Aaron Blaze can go far in DBW. And I really appreciated where he was coming from his previous experiences. I can do nothing but appreciate it at the end of the day. However, when the dust settles, it's my decision. When
Yeah, I mean, look, it's
it
obviously
ends,
there it is. There's the footage. There's the
yeah,
footage.
yeah, obviously where everything ends, it's up to me to decide where I truly begin and what I want my legacy in DBW to be. And I can tell, at least I hope, I can tell that what the pew's telling me is coming from a good place. And there's no animosity, there's no ulterior motives. Zach doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. And I'm someone that likes to read the room in certain locker rooms, and I like to pick apart what everyone says and see if their actions correspond with that. And there's been no negatives with Zach, so it's definitely given me even more to think about and consider.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and he's going to talk about that next Sunday. He's going to talk about his history with Silas Walker. He's really going to talk a lot about Jackson Snow, and he's going to say again maybe more about what he said to you and what's I guess going to be your future in DBW. And you did talk about DBW, and you talked about it being a company that you followed. You had said that when you joined for their company last year for the first time on here. But I mean, there is a lot of pressure regardless. I'm going to put the match up here in a minute. And I mean, I know people have seen you in different places and you've won championships, you've traveled. I mean, you've done a lot of different things, but this is different. This is a different environment. And there is a lot of people that are going to certainly, as you know, in anything you do, it doesn't matter where you've been, where you've gone, a lot of people are going to be judging you maybe more so than anybody else.
No, that's true. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me because they're going to watch, number one, which helps the product that I'm representing. And number two, I'm not doing this for them, I'm doing this for me. Everything I do is going to be for me at the end of the day. And that's all I care about.
But you do realize, though, that some, and I think it would make sense that Silas Walker, obviously owning DBW, businessman, smart guy, been on here a bunch of times. We talked a lot last Friday, and you naturally were a topic. And listen, I mean, that old famous phrase, what's best for business? And what's best for business would be Aaron Blaze to talk about him in a place like DBW because that does drive up engagement, that drives up social media views, that drives up the algorithm. So, I mean, listen, from Silas's perspective, I mean, it's certainly a great move. That's what's best for business. I mean, you realize that you may not be doing this possibly for yourself, but maybe doing this for fans of yours or other things and reasons. I imagine from what you just told us, but from DBW's perspective and Silas Walker's, I think what's best for business is Aaron Blaze maybe being that hand-picked guy and going into DBW's future and helping the company grow.
See, the battle is it best for a moment or is it best for morale? Because no matter what I do and don't do, I'm the guy that's got to live with it. I got to live with all my actions, all my choices, the things I say and the things I do. I know karma's gonna come knocking on my door one way or the other, and I look back at how I recently spoke up for guys like Austin James, who I'm real great friends with, who I congratulated winning the global championship. Also got to plug Sportswire. If you go back and watch DBW Fallout, that's exactly what I did. Um, it's just I look at things like that. I look at other people that I've spoke to, and friends aren't going to bring you fortune at the end of the day. When the going gets tough and you got to get tougher, there's no one that's going to pick you back up but you. And I just have to figure out how much more heartache can I take. Maybe I want to play life on easy mode instead of going 10 times harder than everyone else just to get one chance.
Those are great points.
hard.
Listen, those are great points. But I mean, before I
Hard.
put that footage up of you and Brent Sabbath, I know people are here in the chat. I want to say hello to everybody and thank you very much. And we hope to get some of the people here onto the chat shortly. But listen, you've done it in other places, but people are watching what you do here in this environment in DBW. And you talked about the friend aspect of it. And, listen, it's a dog eat dog business. All the friendships are great. But your career, listen, I would say for some, no matter what you've done, being the greatest traveler, traveled the most distance, 8-time trailblazer. I mean, you've done a lot, no question. A lot of people, didn't take the chances that you've done at a young age, going to all these different places. I mean, I got all the respect in the world for you and anybody else that steps out there. But there are people that want to see, what does Aaron Blaze do in a place like DBW? Yes, you've been ROEW. Yes, you were very successful in ROEW, but you've talked about places like VTW. You've talked about going to other places, and this might be kind of not a make or break, maybe a feast or famine situation. Maybe that's the better one, because you did use the term fish. We are getting in the season of Palm Sunday, Passover, and Easter, and I think feast or famine might be kind of, I think, where you go in this future. And some would even say the best way to go and get to where you need to be is with a guy like Silas Walker, because whether you like Silas Walker or not, and there's a lot of people that probably fall into the category like a Zachary Depew and do not like him, but his resume speaks for itself, and what he's done to transform his career in the last year speaks for itself. The global championship, defeating Mr. Judgment, the Mr. Judgment, to take over DBW. Nobody thought that would ever happen, or no one thought we would see the day where somebody other than Mr. Judgment would run DBW. Yet Silas Walker has done those things. He was right on Chaos Conspiracy. He was right, almost dead in the eyes. He called it. He called a spade to what we've seen. And the man himself has been at front and center throughout backyard and underground wrestling over the past decade. He is one of the very best that I've got a chance to watch to step foot out there. So maybe he is the man to listen to, and maybe he's the man to lead you to the promised land. After all, it's March Madness, and we're getting ready for the Final Four, and maybe he's that guy. Maybe he's your Bobby Hurley. I don't know.
See, I look back at a lot of moments in my career, and pun not intended, I feel like it's always been Aaron Blaze versus the world. And I feel like this is the world being like, here you go. Do you want to make things easier for yourself or harder for yourself? And more importantly, do you believe in yourself?
We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Obviously, we're going to certainly find out, but it's very interesting. Again, I will pick up on some of those things, and we'll talk about more of them with Zachary Depew. But let's get to the footage, because I know people want to get into the chat and say hello, and I thank you for being here. Please follow DBW, most importantly. DBW, we have a lot of coverage coming back. And I'm excited, by the way, I do want to point out before I get to your match, what a heck of a show yesterday. I mean, there was some great matches. Ace Christian, Jacob Cassidy, that was an outstanding match. I want to give a big shout out to Jacob Cassidy, and he's come a long way. That was great to see. And although Mr. Judgment, that definitely caught me off guard. I see
not my monkey,
Lee
not
here.
my circus, man.
Well, I won't ask you about that, but what I will do is I'll get to the footage. It's time to do it, and here we go. We're about to go in here, and we're about to see the man that you're about to wrestle in, Brent Sabbath. Brent Sabbath, definitely not quite related to Black Sabbath, but maybe has been around wrestling a little longer. But he's got some associates with him. Dennis G is a man we know very well. I've talked a lot about him in the past, and I mean, somebody you have not yet been in the ring with. So talk to me about what your expectations here and stepping foot with the one and only Brent Sabbath.
See, I've heard so many different things about this guy. I know he was in DBW previously. I actually got the pleasure of sharing a match with him all the way back in Total Domination X Anarchy Championship Battle Royal.
In the Battle Royal, I was gonna say.
Yeah, mixed it up a little bit. And then I see him out there when we were all summoned earlier in the show, and then I see him in the ring, and I'm just like, what the world happened to it? What happened to you?
Another guy who was in the
I just don't have words for it.
Yeah, he's been in the Indies. He's held championship gold in the Indies and in many other promotions, and he has been highly successful. He's been a veteran. He's got about 10 years experience in the game almost, but obviously going about things differently in this stint in DBW, and we're about to see you come out and make your return to DBW for the first time in a while, and that's the headline.
Sir, fresh cut and everything, fired up, ready to go as per usual. Yeah, I was trying not to get my neck bitten in by the newly crafted vampire. Thankfully I came out with some garlic, flaming hot. All jokes aside here, a lot was racing through my head, especially when the crowd was calling me Silas's boy or something. I can't even fully recall what they said, but I was just going to show them that I'm nobody's young boy. 21 years old, scorching hot future of the business. I'm facing someone who represents the past, and I'm ready to go forward. Ready to go.
You certainly are, and we're about to get to match time, and very exciting to see. We talked a lot about it, obviously, last Friday on the show, and I thought it was really such an intriguing match, and I think Silas had certainly agreed with me. Not that had any impact in the decision, because I did ask Silas if he had made his mind up already, and he already had, I guess, you in mind before this match even started. So that tells you Silas and more or less what was going through his mind. But again, you're in the ring with a guy like Brent Sabbath, certainly a veteran who's been out there and has a little bit of a different style than what you're accustomed to. And he looks to use some of his experience to start out, but you're going to try to lift him up and use some of your strength. But like a Bloody Sabbath way, Brent Sabbath is a immovable object there, but he's waiting. And that hand stuff will come into play in a few minutes during the match, but trying to get here. So what's going through your mind with this whole test of strength here in this start of the match?
Simply trying to survive and trying to give the fans a show. And as you can see, that's costing me just a little bit. But I've been around the block a time or two at my young age, and I figured, well, if nothing's going to happen there, I'll make something happen.
Oof, yeah, that's going to definitely leave a mark. That is definitely going to leave a mark, and definitely, not to quote a Motley Crue song, definitely not punched in the teeth by love, and that's what Brent Sabbath had to deal with there, but not quite in the teeth. But you're coming back there using some of your skill set, your versatility, and that's I could see exactly what I'd be going to, and hey, if it works once, if it works twice, why not try it 3 times? And you just did that there. And obviously, Brent's down a little bit. Brent hasn't been in the ring much lately, so that's a smart strategy from your end of it. And you get a count, also smart, get the count going. And now you got Brent Sabbath down a little bit, which is a position in watching some of his work throughout the past few years that he's not used to. So you can certainly go tit for tat there.
Absolutely. And I think it also boiled down to size difference, age difference. Every day he gets older. Every day I get better, faster, stronger. The one thing I was worried about though was his boys that were there, and it
Yeah.
was just I was just wondering how they were gonna get involved and if they were gonna get involved. And this is almost around the point where
Yeah, and Brent's,
they do.
he's got that intelligence. He does have that intelligence, and you got to give him that. He's been in there and he's held championship gold in many different promotions, and he's back in DBW with the poise that we maybe haven't seen him quite in DBW. There it goes. There's Dennis G. There's Dennis G. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean that would put any man down, and we could see it right there, and you're out for the count, and our senior official here in DBW is looking on, but there's not much he can do because it's pretty much.
I was seeing many Donald Ducks spinning around.
Listen, I mean, Brent, get a cover, but Brent brings you back up, and it looks like this is about to be over. But yeah, Brent's gonna go and finish it, and yeah, I mean, that pretty move there by Brent Sabbath, and 1, 2, but oof, I gotta say about a 2 2/3 there. And not quite yet. It's not. It's more than not over yet. But the shouting, because you are still going to get back up here. But Brent Sabbath is talking, a veteran here, and I talk about this all the time. You would think a veteran like Brent Sabbath would just go back on you, but yet he's talking to the crowd and just moaning there a little bit. But that's not going to help. But wait a minute, this should be over for Brent Sabbath. But what is Dennis D doing on the apron? But wait a minute! Oh my God! Look at what happened there. Brent Sabbath just collided into Dennis G, and now Brent Sabbath's 1, 2. Oh my God! Burnout! Cover him! 1, 2, 3, and Aaron Blaze. The headline is that he can hang in DBW and be in the future of DBW. And there's Silas Walker, the boss himself, the big cheese. There he is, boy.
Yeah, bittersweet. Bittersweet. For my first DBW victory, and for someone that wants me to align with him, he kind of made the moment about himself right there. Not sure how to.
And I think it's because he made the moment. Because the headline is Aaron Blaze 1-0 since Silas Walker made him the future. And Silas Walker coming in here just like Bobby Hurley did with Connecticut earlier today. I mean, that's what it seems to me. I mean, they both got the same haircut, obviously. I mean, it just seems like Silas Walker came in there and he's obviously leading you to the promised land, going right into Judgment Day and World War III.
Again, Tom, bittersweet for my first DBW victory. He couldn't even congratulate me backstage, but I guess he was just so giddy with excitement that his young boy got the job done against an old man. I'm just kidding, but no, yeah, for my first DBW victory, regardless of how you want to look at it, it's a start. It's my first win in the big leagues, in the biggest league, in the league. And now I just got to keep stacking them and get to some championship goal. That is my ultimate goal, one way or the other.
No, I got to ask you before I get into the future, your future of DBW here in a minute. What do you think about the new logo, by the way, at DBW?
I mean, I might have to buy a whole new other shirt, depending on how certain things go. But in my heart, that's the logo right there, the one in the channel banner. As for mixing it up in the channel icon, I don't know. I mean, the thing about snakes is that they can spit their venom anytime they choose, and that's another thing I keep in the back of my mind for the past 24 hours and moving forward for the foreseeable future up until it's time for me to make a choice.
Well, you're going to have to figure that out, which is what I wanted to ask you. So you got this huge victory over Brent Sabbath. No matter how you got the win, no matter how it happened, no matter who's picked you to be the future of DBW, your future in DBW is a victorious one. And now that we have Judgment Day leading up into World War III, how do you take this victory and use it to, well, continue this success?
See, I prefer to be in action for Judgment Day and keep piling up them wins. But that's not for me to call. That's for Silas Walker to
He's here in
call.
the chat, by the way. He is here in the chat, and I'm sure by seeing what you did and you talking tonight, and I think he's a pretty smart guy. He's pretty astute when it comes to business. I'm sure he'll find a way, if he can, being that you are the future of DBW, that he'll put you out there in action, I'm sure.
I hope and pray, because my ultimate goal, sooner rather than later, is to become the headline of Hub City. Take that how you will.
Oh, well, but boy, I mean, that's some stiff competition there. I mean, that will be some stiff competition for you. But you feel
Hey, according to so many other people, I am the stiff competition, so I'll line up perfectly.
Oh, I see.
Anyone's welcome to catch a fade.
I get that. No, I totally get that. But I mean, obviously, that's maybe where your intentions are. So it seems to me like your future would be a Hub City one for championship gold.
Perhaps yes, perhaps no. Headline of Hub City, incoming soon.
I mean, Mr. Walker is here. I'm sure we could further talk about that. But before I do that and get to the chat, if you're out there, do me a favor. Please hit the sub button for DBW. Please follow them on Instagram. Please follow them on Facebook. And Silas did say, by the way, last Friday that DBW is open for business. And he said he's looking for more talent.
He said, absolutely.
Well, he said that here since he's taken over, and he's definitely looking for more names, and I see a bunch of them. So if you'd like to head on over to DBW, you can certainly check them out, and let's get to some people in the chat. I see some names. I'll definitely get to everybody here. So let's do that. Zilla's here first, and also we do have a new logo on stream, which I do want to point out. I really don't like the new StreamYard logo. I have to point out, I don't know if you see the new StreamYard logo. Yeah, so it's before it was like a duck. Now it's like the duck with the headphones on. And I think
that's awful.
I think it's terrible.
That's atrocious.
I think it's terrible. I mean, I don't know why they changed the logo. First of all, it made no sense. But Zilla's here. Thank you, Zilla, for being here first.
Thank you, Zilla.
Speaking of people that are going to be here in a couple of weeks, I was speaking to him about it over the weekend. Quick Strike Johnny Velocity, the ROBW Prestige champion, and he's out there. And Johnny's career is coming to an end very soon, and obviously you're always going to be on that list of potential final opponents for Johnny. And I'm going to be asking Johnny about that in a few weeks. I spoke to him. He's getting ready for his return. His brother Matthew Forsaken just had a birthday. Happy belated birthday to Matthew. Because if I don't wish him a happy belated birthday, then he will take. Now you see one hand that's broke, he'll make sure the other one's broke. So we want to make sure we wish him a happy belated birthday. Just kidding, everybody. But nevertheless, Johnny is here, and he's happy. So that's always good. I want to say, yes, we're out there. Speaking of people who knows Silas Walker very well, Colton Lee, who we saw in action. But honestly, from man to man, don't trust Silas. I've learned from experience. But you could say if he had maybe trusted Silas almost 2 years ago now, maybe it wouldn't have took him as long as where he is today. But that's Colton Lee's perspective. He would know. He knows Silas a little longer than you. And that's another man to the chorus of people that say, don't trust Silas.
No comment.
Okay. Listen, hey, absolutely. No, absolutely. I do want to say hello to Riley Bates, who I do want to say we'd like to have Riley on in a few weeks. I will say that I've been a little bit behind the last week, and I have an excuse. I do have a paper doctor's note. I actually do have a doctor's note for that. But I think he was all in fun. Thank you, Riley. We'd like to say hello to our friends at SBW, LBYW. There he is, the man, the myth, the man that handpicked you. Silas Walker is here. He knows what's best for business. Obviously, my friend Anastasia Rossini is a big fan of yours. She really meant to say that you're a sexy guy. She likes the fro. She likes the facial hair again. So, yeah, it was a joke. That was a joke. Thank you. I want to say hello to my friend, the lover boy, Dario Divine. He'll be on here at some point next week. Wanted to say hi. Thank you. And also, because he has been around in DBW under a different name. He's been on Sportswire many times. So
yeah,
let's leave it at that. Speaking of a person that we're going to speak about in a few minutes, Dominic is here. He is here. I want to talk about him next on the other side of the chat. I'm sure you have a few things to say about him. And Skull's in the house. Good evening, gentlemen. Skulls will be back on at some point next month. Speaking of other legends that are here from the backyard circuit once upon a time, but are now killing it, especially in a company I just had 500 people in front of, TF Crew. There he is, the Tomorrow's End champion, Mr. Doc Holliday. He has something to say to you in a minute. There you go. Hello,
Oh,
hello.
great.
Also, Brent Savage is the only wrestler I've seen whose manager has a manager, which actually is true. I mean, that is a good point. I mean, but hey, I mean, Brett maybe thought it
Interesting.
going to work, but it didn't work. Maybe that's what kind of happens in the rock world. Sometimes they have too many cookies in the hands in the cookie jar, and they either
Many
end up with
cooks in the
no
kitchen.
story. So Sabbath's cookie jar story. But please hit the sub button for DBW. We'd appreciate that very much. Also, I'm
Absolutely.
wondering what kind of monster lies inside Mr. Blaze. Interesting question. Basically, off some of the decisions that you've had to go through, and maybe the reluctance that you've had with Silas, but maybe that's where Doc Holliday is wondering a bit on.
Yeah, I don't think people want to know.
Okay, all right. You know what? Maybe that's a good idea, because you know what? We will certainly move on to the next point. Also, Zilla, the one person's in Silas's corner, and she still trusts Silas Walker no matter what, and she still believes in Silas Walker no matter what. And also, Mr. Holliday would like to further go on, and certainly he's getting plenty of comments in before the holiday of Passover Wednesday night. So this is definitely going to be a comment that doesn't take a holiday. How far are you willing to go for what you want?
That's an interesting question. Very far. It just depends on what side of the coin. Either way, you got to flip it. Now, what it lands on is one thing or the other.
Listen, I mean, you know what? That's a good point, but I would just say now again, Zachary Depew is going to come on here next Sunday, and he'll talk about his perspective on this. But you could look at it. Silas is a guy. He's whatever, regardless of what you think of him. He's been very successful of late. What he did to transform his career in DBW. You can even make the point 2 years ago at this time, he was kind of where you were in DBW. And then look at how he transformed, and he reversed his fortunes. So you could say that going with Silas Walker and seeing what he's done, that's where you'd want to be too. Now, some could also say, conversely, there's the old adage of making a deal with the devil. They always say you make a deal with the devil. And if Silas Walker's the devil, I mean, that could be the case. But like I said, Silas Walker's been very successful at the same time.
There's also the asterisks of, and this is just my thought process.
Sure.
But who's to say I'm not his only selection? And if I don't take his offer, I feel like someone else will. And I feel that could also harm me later down the line.
Well, we have Judgment Day in World War III to see if there would be any other selections. But we did talk a little bit about the DBW roster when Silas was here last Friday. Now, he didn't give us any indication if there were other names or other people that maybe
I'm not even. I'm just speculating because I don't know. But Silas strikes me as a guy that if it's like a game of kickball, right? If the second base holder isn't gonna try and catch the ball or stop it, who's to say someone in the outfield isn't gonna come running up?
That's the point of the game. Yeah, that's
and
the point.
Just keep the ball rolling.
That's the point. Well, listen, and that's a well point. Well taken. Point taken. I mean, there's no question that you could make that case. Time will certainly tell, but it also reminds me of a movie that once upon a time, Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino were in The Devil's Advocate. And The Devil's Advocate, you go back and, this is kind of the devil and Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves is, again, trying to, although Keanu Reeves came up when John Corabi sort of compared me to, we'll leave that for a different time. But, in a way, it's kind of where you are. You're trying to do the right things. You've certainly voiced your support for guys like Austin James and Jacob Cassidy. And, you've come into DBW for those right reasons. But listen, Silas Walker, under his regime, he wants you to go where maybe when you were in Mr. Judgment's regime, didn't quite get those results. So, I mean, time will tell. Like I said, time will tell, but we'll have to get to it. We'll have to get to it. Let's get to some more comments. It is open season for Aaron Blaze. Well, the DPW decision, what Skulls is trying to point out is that that's kind of where you are right now. I mean, I think it's interesting. You know, and it's interesting. Isn't it interesting that even though you win, there's even more questions after an Aaron Blaze win?
Yeah. It kind of feels weird.
Exactly.
Kind of feels weird, especially
Exactly.
not only that, but all the locker room eyes just on you specifically.
Well, the eyes are on you because, listen, here's what it comes down to. I don't have to tell you this. You know, and you did say, by the way, to your credit, listen, I'm here for DBW, not for me, but all these guys have watched Sportswire. All these guys know your name. Whether people like Aaron Blaze or not, we all know over the years, people know Aaron Blaze. Maybe they don't know every match you've had, but they know where you've gone. They know what people you've been in a locker room with. They know what you said on an Instagram Live or Facebook Live or what you said on Messenger, whatever. They will know. They know the screenshot. So your name, listen, there's a handful of guys. You're in that category. I don't have to tell the world who the other handful of guys are. One of them's coming on here Friday, and you mentioned the word real deal. That's one. Another guy just put out a video of a package of his career. He'll be on the following week. So there's a couple of other guys, throw in there. And that locker room in DBW, they know Aaron Blaze. They know you because of what social media, places like this say, other companies. So yeah, they're watching. It's like Tupac, all eyes on me. And that's what it is. It's all eyes on you. That's the truth. Because you are a guy that carries a name and guys want to step up. It's like, listen, people, it's like you go to jail, right? When you go to jail, people want to see how tough they are. It's that old mindset. Or it's like when I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn, we played jail rules for basketball in the street. They wanted to see how tough you were, how tough you looked. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that with DBW. All these guys, I'm not going to name the names. It's a big locker room. I could talk about 20 plus guys alone in DBW that have the same opinion. They want to see what you're up to. Can you cut it here? And that's what it comes down to. It's all eyes on you. And yes, StreamYard gone ugly duckling. That is the best way to put it, Skulls, because I am not a fan of the StreamYard logo. I do like the DBW logo a little better than the StreamYard logo. Let's get to some more comments. Yes, happy belated birthday to Matthew Forsaken. Yes, I think Anastasia left, though. She's been going through something. Unfortunately, her dog passed away not too long ago. So let's please keep Anastasia and her dog in our thoughts and prayers. And I know the truth. Do you? Do you? I think you may have a reference to that. And also, Dario Divine gives a good point. As we all know, sometimes the devil lies in the details. Yes, I have heard that many times. The devil lies in the details. It gets to the point about Silas, of that some would say if you join Silas, well, the devil's in the details because of like what people think of him. Depu's going to talk about it next Sunday. To my favorite wrestler of all. Thank you, Zilla. But also, here he is. Blaze, do what you have to do to succeed. Just don't trust anyone. You know what? It's a good point because Sean Jovi kind of went through the same thing in a sense, different way to get there, but Sean kind of went through a lot over the past year and then finally decided he needed to do what he had to do at IMF, and he's held the tag team championships now twice. Now, you obviously have gone, we don't know what your future is. Don't know what your path is, but, there is a point, DTA, don't trust anybody, and it's a dog-eat-dog business. I always go back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the real truth is, well, the truth is often hidden from those who often lie, and a lot of people nowadays like to lie. But I always tell the truth. Everything that I do is for me, and I try to be someone that can, how do I put this? Give you the best of both worlds. Doesn't mean you always have to trust me, but I will make you believe me whether you like me or you don't. And that's why some people that like firing headshots, sorry, Um, they still view me even though they don't like me. So it's just funny how the world actually works. And I always make sure to hit my marks and to take a shower after I'm done. You know, some people, it's a foreign concept for some. But at the end of the day, the night, the evening, and the morning is mine because as long as I wake up, I still win, even when I lose. So yeah, don't trust anybody, but that also goes both ways. And that's just something you're going to have to keep an eye out for.
And we certainly want to do that by going to the DBW pages, and I see more comments. We will get to them, and I do want to point out that yes, I did take a shower today. For those that may be wanting to know, I did take a
Yeah, Tom,
shower.
you'd be surprised how that's a foreign concept for some leeches here in this community. So can we just all agree in the chat that when you wrestle or you get active, you should probably take a shower instead of being a scruff? Cause some people they just like to just soak in their stench instead of bathing, and it's kind of embarrassing if you want to call yourself an adult. Also, hi Jake. Next.
Well, I will say that it is painful these days for me to take a shower, but I do take one because I have to actually wear. I have to wear. I can't believe this is coming up, but I actually do have to wear a protective sleeve on my hand when I shower because I can't get my cast wet because I have a broken
Oh yeah,
hand. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
kind of
I'm just saying,
painful.
maybe I'm
I got
crazy in my web
I
of
got,
lies, but
I got the comments. I got the comments, but let's move on. I got a bunch of comments, and I want to talk about YBW.
uh,
You're a guy that completely created himself, then established himself, and now you're becoming successful. You're always gonna have haters, bro. Keep doing you.
absolutely. And apparently the haters love me. I saw this earlier, and you're getting a spiteful air in Blaze tonight because I don't give a shit. I I saw the live chat for Thundershock, and I know who's doing it, by the way. And people were making bot accounts saying the most off the wall stuff, making fun of what I do for a living, and it's fine. It's fine. Keep giving me the views. Make 10 bot accounts, make 20. I'm going to reap the benefits, but those people at the end of the day will reap what they sowed. See, a lot of people think that two wrongs make a right. And some people live in denial and think that they're always correct when a lot of their information and their ideas and their ideologies are false. And karma comes back around in the best way, Tom. And sometimes you don't have to witness it. You don't even have to dish it out. What there's a verse I like in a song called Many Men by 50 Cent. In the Bible it says what goes around comes around. I forget the person's name. Shot me 3 weeks later. He got shot down. Now it's clear that I'm here for a real reason because he got hit like I got hit, but they ain't effing breathing. And there's a difference between being alive and living, Tom, and a lot of these people, they ain't living life because they're too busy living, watching my life. And I'm living La Vida Loca.
Well, you know
But
what?
let's talk about taking matters into our own hands. And I'm sorry to cut you off because I wanted to dish out a little bit of karma tonight and drop a few bars, if you will. Let's cut to the cutoff that I did at the end of Thundershock.
Well,
Let's
yes,
cut
we
to
can
it.
go right. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. And also, Aaron Blaze may be on fire, but sooner or later, that fire will burn out. The question is when. Interesting. And Wash just, I think, okay, I think I got the references. I got that. I think I've got enough of that. And I listen. I was always told to take. Listen. I don't want to get into it anymore because when I was growing up in Brooklyn, again, I was always growing up in Brooklyn. Always with Brooklyn, but I was told simple things, and I hope that everybody uses those simple things. And actually, I will say, and Johnny can relate because he had a hand injury, not maybe almost the same injury that I had, but it really does become even more more important to, when you have two hands, two set of working hands, that you really do take a shower. Because as someone who only has one working hand right now, it's my dominant hand. And for those, I do appreciate the lying line, because I'm a notary, and one of my things, I take an oath, and I'm, in politics kind of, and people want me to, say, oh, I'll sign for my wife, I'll sign for my husband. I say, no, 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 I can't do that. I could lose my license, God forbid. My license is like a really important thing. It's very important I don't lose my license, because it's basically my life right there. And I take it very seriously, because I help a lot of people with my license in life and different things. And, so if you have a chance, you have two working hands, do take a shower daily, because as someone who only has
Oh,
one
absolutely.
working hand, as someone who only has one working hand right now,
Don't forget your teeth too, guys, and your breath.
and also, yeah, you did break your. I do remember talking about that. Yes, thank you. And unfortunately, it's healing a little longer than I hoped for, because I have a tilted hand at the moment. So, but I'm gonna now move off that. Thank you, Silas. And I still say I can't wait for Silas to hear what Zachary Depua say next Sunday. But before we move on, it is your day. Despite many of the things that we said off the train here, I will give you the physical copy when we're off the air. But it is now time to talk about it for the rest of the show. And it is YBW. We were definitely thunder shocked. And normally I'm in the live chat, but unfortunately, because of, my notary position today, and in New York, we have a little thing called elections, and we have to get our candidates on the ballot. And I haven't been around the last week, partially because of my hand and also work, but we're now getting back to the swing of things. And I want to get to the swing of things because you and Dom, 2 out of 3 falls. I'll speed up a little because it's a very long match. It's one of the longer matches of the year, and for important reasons. But let's get to it here, because it's the end of an era. And I want to talk about what you did afterwards. And let's put it up here and talk about it, because Dom is here in that chat. And one more time for your championship. Let's talk you and Dominic.
Yeah, so the match started off hot and heavy. Dom pulled out some stuff that normally would finish a match, but I guess he was trying to end it early, and it's smart on his end, because
It was
the
a
more
different
and more
strategy
you
the
wrestle
last match
me,
you had
the
too. That's
worse
a
it
good
gets.
point. That's a good point, that because I thought the same thing. I thought there was a different, almost a reverse of what you and him the last time out there were like.
Yeah, this wasn't slowed down or anything until later on, but I got my vengeance for what happened at Snowfall Brawl. I got my comeuppance. I couldn't pin him last month, but I pinned him in the first fall. Standard rules, first time in, I'm going to say, 2 years. And now we enter a tables match, to where that was the first time him and I had a tables match since 2019. When we had tables, we rarely didn't. 2 out of 3 falls. You could barely see anything. It was breakdown 2, and I walked in and out with this. Case in point.
A championship that meant
And
a lot to you. You waited 4.5 years to get that championship back.
absolutely, and it's crazy because our first match ever was for this championship when it comes to backyard wrestling. And now our last match was once again for this championship. So it's just crazy to see how things in life work out and turn out. And now we're getting into, I guess, the meat and potatoes of it, if you will. We're getting into the deep end, to where he has to slam me through a table, or he has to do something big to put me through an actual table, something that is not often seen for one reason or another, because our matches are so insane and off the walls enough. Tables aren't going to make much of a difference, but it did in this. And it was my goal to put him through a table. It didn't happen, but it was my goal. And the more and more punishment I went through, the more and more I was fighting Dom, the more I realized exactly what I was fighting for. Because I went into this match not expecting much, not
No,
wanting much. There was a sense of doubt, even. And I don't know if it was getting slammed through the table. I don't know if it was just how long the match was. I don't know if it was just the pain in my knee.
Well, that was a big
But I
topic throughout
remembered
the
who
match.
I
That was a
was.
big topic. I mean, was that something that was bothering you to the point that you were, I hate to say it, but almost doubting yourself? Because we talked a lot about this match and what you've had to go through to get that championship, and even to still be dealing with Dom. I mean, we expected last month that it was going to be it, and yet here we are once again, and now you've got that knee injury that you're dealing with.
See, with the knee injury, and it's another reason why I said at the end of the year, it would be the last time I would be considered a backyard wrestler, because I do want to be taken higher, if you will, and some people understand that reference. But it's part of the reason I joined DBW in the first place, was to take that next step. And I full on believe in it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. And I have to leave this behind. And I hate to say it, Tom, as time and time passes on, and the more I get hit with this and that, either personal or professionally, it gets easier to leave this behind. And especially with everything that Dom has put me through as of recently, it acted more as an amplifier instead of an anchor. Because when it was an anchor, I would be concerned about vengeance. I would be concerned about settling the score, not leaving the stone unturned. But around my birthday month of all things, where a lot of things happened and a lot of people did and said a lot behind my back, of course, I cared less. Even being on top of the world, even getting this back for the first time in years, I didn't care as much as I did. I forgot who I was and could be for a second, but the more and more I hit him in the head, the more and more I slammed him to any part of that arena, I remembered who I was pretty quickly. I remembered what I would do for a living and why I would be doing it, and whoever got in my way and whoever tried to stop me, whoever tried to ruin it for me or the people that do this with me would become inconsequential and irrelevant as they are. I would remember pretty quickly. That was the Zenkai boost I needed. That was the upgrade of a very outdated version of Aaron Blaze.
Well, I mean, it's obviously a version that is leading you in quite a back and forth in the match with you and Dom. So, after hearing you talk and the longer the match goes on, I mean, did you feel the longer the match, it would eventually be advantage you? Or, I mean, I hate to say this because we've been here so many times with Dom. We even talked about this last time on the show. And then we talked about this whole stipulation, which you just touched upon, about your career in the backyard. And I mean, did you feel the longer this goes on that Dom's going to find a way, or what?
I knew at the end of the day, Dominic could pin or even submit me. I knew at the end of the day, he had the potential to put me through a table. But what he isn't able to do and wasn't able to do was get me to quit. See, he thought that I would be so tired, so fed up, and so done with everything I got going on that I would quit. That I would quit on everything else, not even within the same realm of YBW. But he thought that I would seemingly give up. Tom, in hindsight, I've done this show with one other person several times over just to stay afloat. I have been kicked out of place after place, not even knowing if I'm going to have a roof over my head, and I still went across state lines. When the going gets tough and sometimes a conversation isn't enough to settle issues, I never quit. And that's what sets me across from all these other people who run their mouths or all these other people that think they have a heart for this. I know I have a heart for this because when the going gets tough, and I know they're watching, and I am going to name drop because I'm so sick and tired of people running their mouths. When the going gets tough, people like Jake, Hal, or Ultio, yeah, I'm going there, they quit. When the going gets tough for certain hit markers that like to hit on animals and do other things and make empty idle threats because they think they're hot shit, when the going gets tough, they quit and they spread lies. When the going gets tough because they can't handle criticism about their booking over in God's country, they quit on finding a solution. I have never quit. For nearly a damn decade. You can say I'm drama prompt, you can say I have an ego, but one thing none of you MFers can call me is a quitter. None of you can say that about me. Because all of you gave up. You couldn't last a day. No, you couldn't last an hour in my world. Move several different locations. Cut off so many alleged family members when the only thing I need is me, myself, and I, and that's why I'm on top of the world trailblazing and you're at the bottom of the barrel watching, trying to provoke, and trying to bury the name and the legacy of Aaron Blaze when all of you little bitches needed to ride my coattails to be relevant. I don't quit. I might bend, but every single last one of you break. And Dominic broke.
Well, I was gonna
I
get to that.
made that
Dominic
happen.
is the man that's he's going to quit. We're gonna see that in a few minutes, and obviously Dominic did meet the fate that you had said about some of those individuals that we will leave that at that, and but obviously. Dominic is about to meet that fate soon, and I guess Dominic couldn't, you know, cash
No, and
his
that's the
mouth.
funny thing, Tom, and I'm sorry to go on this tirade, but it's really pissing me off because they love all of them. They love dishing them out, dishing it out, but they can't take it. I dish it out because I can. I've been called a whole hell of a lot worse. I've had so many people say the same things and believe the same bull. And every single time it's been slapped into my face, I hit them down and I put them in their place the same way I'm doing to Dominic right now. You can throw whatever you want at me, but you fire blanks and my headshots don't miss. They never had. And that's why I'm still standing. I'm still standing. Even when you slam me on the ground or slam me on the ring, I get up and I put you back down like it isn't a damn thing. Because at the end of the day, Tom, they're not. They're not. Because it's like you said, the most traveled, arguably the most controversial, but yet the most influential backyard and underground wrestler currently. I got a text from Abram Storm, and I'm using him as an example because I really love and respect the kid.
Yes, Abram, we love
He
Abram.
texted me that a TikTok, a measly TikTok that I made with a song Misery by Memphis Made Fire helped inspire him to never give up and to keep going. That kind of brings a tear to your eye, and this kid's been watching me for a long damn
He's talked
time.
about it here. He's talked about it in the chat. He's talked about it when he's been here on Sportswire. He talked about what you've meant to him. We've seen some of these other guys that have been here in the past, and they've talked about watching you and your career, and just in the way that you had talked about watching the guys in DBW, and you're obviously there in DBW now, and obviously there's only a handful of people could really say that in the backyard in the underground of guys like yourself that have traveled to different places, and a select few and get that notoriety and have influenced so many. Abram Storm, has certainly talked a lot about you. It's one name. There's been some other names also in your state that have talked about you in the past with 3 initials, not YBW, but I think those 3 initials. I mean,
Oh, which one? Well, name them all. Name them all. Because
VCW.
it's
Does that ring
all
a bell? Ring a bell?
no.
VCW. Yeah.
Listen, it's always Aaron Blaze is the bad guy. Aaron Blaze is the problem. You want to know the crazy part about a story, Tom? It can be told in many different ways, and it's all one-sided when you leave a couple things out. And when your story keeps changing, only stupid people will believe you. And that's the thing. I inspire. And that's not the same thing as idiocy. And it takes an intelligent person to understand that. It just is what it is. And not even any shade to the people in God's country. I'm listing them as an example. It's no secret we're not on best terms, but my point is, when the going gets tough, people lie, people give up. I don't have to change my story at all. I've been saying the same things over and over again, and it was once said that if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember a damn thing. That's all I do. That's all I do. Especially taking that energy into using this, into using these, and using my feet. There's people that
Showcasing
talk
why
about
you are
it,
the
and there's
future,
people that be about it.
and
And that's why
showcasing
I'm
why you're the
traveling
future.
the world and on top of it all at once.
And that's why you, as I continue to say, have been showcasing why you were that pick from Silas Walker of the future. And right now you've picked up a kendo stick and you are just beating Dominic. I mean, this is just an assassination here these last few minutes. I mean, it's almost, you've gone into overdrive. It's carried over from last night into tonight into what you're doing to Dominic. And yeah, Dominic's in a lot of pain. This is not where Dominic has been the last year plus, and he is certainly in a very uncomfortable position right now. And you have him right where you want him, and Dominic is just laying there, and he is definitely, a target. He is definitely the target for some of the things you've talked about tonight about individuals. I won't spend any time on, but
Yeah, I should have worked myself into a shoot, brother, but ultimately,
you know what? Look, obviously, it's what it is. I'll leave that stuff out, and we'll certainly
oh
let.
no, and I do too. But if people want to poke the bear, you shouldn't be surprised when you see the teeth, and I rip you to shreds.
Well,
Because here's what's gonna happen, Tom. They'll watch, they'll talk shit in their little group chats like a bunch of high schoolers. And some of them will leech off of their fucking grandparents and their mommies and not do anything with their lives. And in the morning, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna keep working on my temple. I'm gonna work on my surroundings. I'm gonna work on me. And this is gonna get the views that it gets, and people will watch the next one and the next one and the next one because they can pretend like they don't care, Tom, but they do. They
no, people
do.
watch you. No, listen. You know what? I will say that people definitely watch you, and you come on, just like I said about Silas, and maybe why he had looked to the future. What's best for business is certainly Aaron Blaze. I mean, obviously, you know, Aaron Blaze is a name that people want to know, and I could certainly see that from that perspective, And I mean, look, that's just how it goes. But right now, you've got a match to focus on with Dom, and he's come back here, and you guys have went through a war.
Absolutely. And I don't like airing my dirty laundry, but unlike some people, I wash it. And speaking of washing, I'm still mopping the floor with Dominic as we speak. It might not look like it now, but as he's
Oh yeah.
grabbing me by the hair and he's wailing on me with a kendo stick and he's kicking me almost as hard as he can. Oh, yeah, I'm the stiff one. Um, Something in me snapped, Tom. All the memories, all the failures, all the mind games, all the recent betrayals. We talked about it recently at the start of the year where I blacked out and I don't remember a thing
Magnum
about
Carter.
how I retained against well, yeah, or I beat Magnum Carter. And then when I defended this championship against Monstruck, I don't remember anything, but as you can see, I hit him in the nuts. And as you can see, I'm hitting the back of my head, CTE. Don't do it, kids. I lost my mind a little bit. I lost my mind, and maybe that's what Silas sees for the
Maybe it's
future.
and maybe it's
Maybe
a
a
year,
loose cannon.
and maybe it's a year of what you've went through with Dominic, a year of pent up frustration from what we're about to see. Maybe all of this is coming to a head. Some of the things you said about other individuals, and you've got something here. Listen, you even showed some shades to Grim. I mean, maybe GTS is in the forecast, but what you're about to do to Dom, to me, this is, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Blaze like you've never. It's over. It's it. That's it. That's enough. That's enough. No mas. Dominic has had enough. After everything that Aaron Blaze has said here tonight, he's had enough. But Aaron Blaze is not done. The match may be over. That's the headline. But the headline still is that even with those light tubes in Aaron Blaze's hands, we're about to see Aaron Blaze push it the river. There it goes. And Aaron Blaze is pushing his
And
open.
move. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Aaron Blaze has said this is now the end of an era on his terms. His future now is in his hands, and he'll end on his time. And his time is right now for Dominic to have seen a timeout, because Dominic will never get another look at that as long as this guy has that. And that's the headline to all of backyard and underground wrestling. To anybody who
Aaron
steps
Blaze is
foot.
unsafe. I hear the comments now. I see
Well,
him in the live
well, I'll
chat now,
tell you what
Tom.
the headline is. The headline is anybody that steps foot with Aaron Blaze is going to get a taste of their own blood. And after what Brent Sabbath and what Dom faced, no person is safe. And that's why you have to watch Monday Night Carnage tomorrow night. And also hit that sub button for me for YBW, because, well, you just thunder shocked everybody. And Dom, it's an end of an era, and you're on top on your terms, and your backyard career is going to continue until the end of
Whenever.
this year. The end of this year. Well, yeah, literally the end of this calendar year. It's basically December.
Yeah. Quick disclaimer: pre-tape life is really something. But other than that, I told Dom that I can be weak. I can be angry. I can be just like you, Dom. When push comes to shove, from what people say about me, what they believe, whatever word of mouth is spread about me, because there's so many lies and no one wants to hear the truth, and it's fine. They want me to be this, I'll be that. I'm worse than you. I'm worse than Steel. I'm worse than any person you can put together who's said this and done that. I am the most hated headline in backyard and underground wrestling history, but hey, at least I am one. There's a lot of people that can say what they want, and at the end of the day, Tom, when it boils down to certain things, some of them are right. And maybe that's what leads me to shake hands with the devil and sell my soul. But maybe, just maybe, Tom, I don't have one. Maybe I never
That's what you
did.
did to Dominic. Dominic didn't want it no more, and you still did it. I mean, going now into the immediate future in YBW after what you did to Dom, you've got him in the rear view mirror. I mean, he was here and left. I mean, kind of almost like he was the tooth fairy. He was here, then left, and you gave Dom what he didn't want. But now, where do you go from here?
See, that's interesting because, I want all anger aside, I like to think I'm a mellowed out individual and that I'm not super angry. This is all for fun, right? This is all for um, entertainment. But I did make promises, and I'm a guy that's a man of his word. I do want to be the people's champ. I do want to take this championship and defend it out of state because it's something that's never been done. And I want to uplift the next era for backyard and underground wrestling. So maybe that's what's next for me. I got a lot to think about when it boils down to DBW. But with certain things, my word is my bond, and I like to stick to my word. So we can get a spiteful, hot-headed, angry drama prompt Aaron Blaze tonight. But when I actually get some rest, because that's something I don't get, I don't sleep, people. My mental health's not the greatest, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on me, and I'm working on us being a better community. And sometimes you have to expose a thing or two. Wink, wink. But I look forward to seeing who my next challenger is because we're going to figure out who I face at Breakout in the Case 9 live tomorrow night on Monday Night Carnage, episode 163. There will be two randomly drawn names to see who exactly I'm going to challenge on Sunday, April 26th or 25th. I'd have to look back at the calendar. Regardless, I will have another
26th.
championship defense,
26th.
and it's going to be a blast, one way or the other. So that's what's next for me. Getting back to just being in a better state of mind. I'd like to think it's not because of this and not because of the logo, but we'll figure that out as we go along time. We'll figure that out as
Well,
we
we
go along.
certainly will. It has been quite the evening, and I will say one thing you and Steele do have in common is that you had said exposing certain things and individuals, and that's something that you and Steele do have in common. And those individuals we certainly will not speak of or bring up because obviously we know
No.
we don't go down
Yeah,
that
it's a
road.
double jeopardy thing. I don't know.
We don't want to do that. But AJ Harrison has a couple things to say. He did make an appearance in WTW and greeted Devin Adams, a man you may know, and did say that he's open for business. He after greeting Devin Adams, I will leave it at that. He'll tell us more about that when he comes back on. The good
Devin, my
guys
boy.
aren't always the good guys. Yeah, we had Devin on, and Devin is always an interesting character. So just remember, if you ever need some help, there's always business to be done, and that's certainly something you a lot to think about. Before I let you go, I gotta think though, after what you talked about tonight, inside the ring, not so much outside. We'll leave it at that. But
Yeah, what are we talking
did,
about outside? I don't even remember.
no,
It,
well, I
it'll
want
die
to
in another 2 years
let's
anyway.
focus on what you did. But let's focus what you did a lot this weekend inside the ring. And after what you did to Brent Sabbath, after what you did to Dom, and after being picked as the future of DBW from Silas Walker, the owner of the company, was this the biggest weekend of your career?
I don't want to say that. I will say this: it was definitely the most eventful weekend of my year so far, but I wouldn't say my entire career or life. In and out of it, it was pretty interesting and eye opening to hear the things I've heard, see the things I see. But at the end of the day, Tom, there's always going to be something for better or for worse to topple over it. There's always going to be a way to outdo and outclass a certain situation or topic. Sooner or later, this is going to be something that people just let blow in the wind and it's forgotten for X amount of time until the newest wave of controversy and everything else just comes into the community, but some people just don't have the time and energy for it. And some people are lucky that I made the time for it tonight. And that's as far as I'm going to extend it. But at
Apparently,
the
you're
end
the
of the
only
day,
one. Yep.
I'm happy with where my life is now. It's in a much better place for the most part. I look forward to what I'm doing next with this title for the time being, at least. And I look forward to my future in DBW and other ventures.
Well, we certainly look forward to covering some of that on April 26th when you come back on here. So before I let you go, and if you're out there, please follow YBW, please follow DBW, and we'll talk more about the future of Aaron Blaze. But I almost have to ask, I mean, do you want to say anything else about DBW or YBW or Silas Walker? I mean, he was here quite a bit in the chat. I mean, is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't covered in those two companies?
When it comes to both YBW and DBW and a lot of your favorite backyard and underground wrestling federations, do your best to try and support all of it. For better or for worse, not even for my sake or someone else's sake, but ultimately we need stuff to take our minds off of what's actually going on in the world that's actually more important than a lot of petty bullshit. So just enjoy wrestling for what it's worth, because it's not like it used to be, and there's very few people and very few places that will actually have the roots of what wrestling is and how it should be run still synced into their systems. And we should do our best to watch as much of it as we can and support as much of it as we can when it's all said and done. And not everything is everyone's cup of tea, but sometimes you gotta take a shot. And I don't mean headshots, but you gotta take a shot
Well,
to
I'm going to
see
take one more
what
shot.
suits
I
the
want to take one
scenario.
more shot. I want to do this. I
Oh, you
wasn't going
want
to
to take a
do
shot?
no, but no,
Tom
not that
shooting
kind of
them.
shot. No. But I tell you what shot I am going to take, because Johnny Velocity was here in the chat, and Johnny's going to be back on toward around the same time you're going to come on, probably right before it. And
Absolutely.
as you know, Johnny's career is coming to an end, and Johnny's the ROEW Prestige champion. I know we've been down this road before. Johnny's talked about it. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to take the shot and say, do you want to be Johnny Velocity's final opponent of his career?
Honestly, and this is going to be a shocker because, Aaron Blaze isn't putting himself over like he does everywhere else. I want to be one of Johnny's final opponents, but I do not think that it's my place to be his final opponent. I think that honor should go to someone else. I would happily accept it if that is what Mr. Velocity wanted, but that is for him to decide, not me. But one thing is for certain: you throw in a quick straight headline in an ROEW ring, you witness the crowning of a brand new ROEW Prestige champion. With all due respect, I have to call a spade because
Listen,
that's gonna go. But I look forward to seeing Johnny hopefully sooner rather than later, and we'll just have to see how the cookie crumbles with that.
no, listen, you know what? That was something I was going to ask Johnny about, and that's, part into why he'll be back. And also, he's a part of the EWA as well, but ROEW, we know ROEW is inching very closely to return, and Johnny got the bat signal, and I didn't send it to him on Messenger because I have one hand right now, and he said it would be an honor.
God love you.
Be an honor. Yeah, it would be an honor.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Listen, I'm going to talk to Johnny about this when he comes back on here in a few weeks. So I had to throw it out. That was my little shot. So there you go. But if you are out there, please support DBW, YBW, ROEW, the EWA, all the other companies that come on. And Zachary Depew makes his debut next Sunday night. So very excited about that. I was speaking with Zach a couple of times. So you'll be a topic there. Spoiler alert, you'll be a big topic again next Sunday. But that's obvious. But there's obvious reason, though, because you and him did have a segment about Silas Walker. So in this case, it's really because of what we saw at Overdrive. But I'm going to pass the baton to you. We've said plenty, and I'm looking forward to Monday Night Carnage tomorrow night. I'm certainly looking forward to Judgment Day and World War III, the lead up into that, and the Global Championship, the tournament there, everything. A lot. DBW really, really loved last night's episode. There was a lot for anybody there. So please go out there and check out DVD. I love the main event, by the way, the ending of that with Sammy Nothing and Victor Lobos, the Brooklyn
Oh,
Prodigies.
that's
And
really great. Holy
I'll tell you
crap.
what, I mean, there may not be, those two men may not be left after what those two go through. And Blaze was the
Nice.
very first person on YouTube that hit up DKW. See, there you go. See, I was onto something. I knew my history. I did my homework. Well, I didn't have to do my homework because I lived it, but I knew that would be a topic. So there you go. And he wants to face Aaron Blaze. So there you go. Listen. I will say there's a handful of names that could be Johnny's opponent. Listen, I'll probably ask Anthony Steele on Fridays. Well, I'll probably ask Anthony that question. Anthony's gonna go. He's gonna say, "Yeah, I should be." So I mean, I had to throw it out there. Well, I got you one. I mean, Sean Jovi's another guy I like to throw out there. So there's a few guys. So but I'm sure Johnny will talk about it then. Let me pass the baton to you. I know we've talked a lot, and it's been a very busy weekend for you. So I do want to
My
try to let you.
apologies,
No, no, no,
backyard
no,
and
no.
underground.
No,
No,
you
but they
listen.
don't come here for the childish middle school, high school
I know. Listen,
bullshit.
I'm
And I
well
just
aware
had
of
to
the
get some
history.
stuff off my
I'm well
chest.
aware of
It's
the
okay.
history. I'm well aware of the past. I got that. We're here nor there. I got that. I know what people want, but we're gonna focus on what's in the ring. Those people.
Absolutely.
We know what it
The
is.
people
We
that are
know their
actually
record.
in the ring are the ones that
Well,
matter, not the people sitting on the sidelines
well,
jerking the curtain.
Well, I'll tell
Uh,
you what I'm gonna do because I can't jerk it because I have a bad left hand. I'm gonna give you the floor. I'm gonna give you some close. I really can't at the moment, but I am gonna give you the floor for some close. Try and career stand-up comedy because this isn't gonna work. But let me pass the baton to you. Well, listen, Motley Crue, John Karabi thought I had good sideburns. He liked my sideburns. Said they were really good, and he said I had a future. So we'll
yeah,
see if I have.
your sideburns are great, dude.
He did. He
They're
liked
really
him. He's
good.
from in a Motley Crue. Yeah. So I mean, listen. If he said that, maybe Tommy Lee's coming on next. But I don't think I'm getting Pamela Anderson. Maybe you will. But I
Oh,
did have Anastasia Resenya give me a comment. So who knows what's next after this? But let me pass the baton to you. Let me give you some closing thoughts, and the floor is
oh
yours.
God. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for the laugh. I actually needed that. Just remember, I how do I really want to end this? I'll end this in the most realistic way I can, whether people believe in the religion or not. He is watching everything you say. He is watching everything you do. And I can say whatever I want about certain people, but ultimately, this this man is the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And if you really want to make it anywhere in life, you need this guy on your side. You need something to believe in. You cannot take on the world on your own, and you can't have the mentality that the world is always against you. Because there's some people that will go above and beyond to help you, but you first need to help yourself. You know who I'm talking about. Just something to remember. That's it.
It is Palm Sunday, by the way. We'll point out it is Palm Sunday today, and Tuesday is Passover. Wednesday is Passover. I was stand corrected. Usually it's Tuesday, but this year it's Wednesday. So obviously, we do want to wish everybody a happy holiday week. But Aaron Blaze had a busy weekend, and you can see that footage once again on the DBW YouTube page, the YBW YouTube page, and you can also check him out coming up tomorrow night. Monday Night Carnage. We'll see what he does with that YBW championship, and I would love to see him maybe defend it in DBW. Listen, who knows there? But a lot of different talent out there, and I'm sure we'll talk more of that when he comes back on April the 26th. And I can't wait to ask Johnny Velocity about what I asked Aaron Blaze. And Zachary Depew is here next Sunday in that chair. So, my friend, congratulations on a very successful weekend. Looking forward to
Thank
seeing what
you.
you do
As
with all
always,
of
it's great to
this.
be here.
It was a lot of fun. It was great. And I thought it was great to poetic to have made you the first live show. I was here a couple of times, but we'll have some more shows coming up during the week. Stay tuned. Probably be back on Tuesday or Wednesday. Actually, both because it's Passover. I usually do news, but with Passovers, I'll be here throughout the week. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That's Aaron Blaze. He is still the greatest traveling wrestler in backyard underground wrestling history. He's the 8-time trailblazer.
Oh, say it again.
Greatest,
Say it again. Say it again.
the
I don't think
greatest
all the haters making bot accounts and trying to troll me can hear you. Say it again, please.
greatest backyard and underground wrestling
The
wrestler
greatest.
traveler
That's
of
all.
all
That's all
time.
I needed to hear, Tom. The greatest. That's all I needed to hear at
You're
the end of the
welcome.
day.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And he has also got that YBW championship on his right shoulder, and you'll see him there tomorrow night in YBW, part of Monday Night Carnage. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support. And until then, please follow the companies that Mr. Blaze represents. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all music and all wrestling matters. See you soon, everybody.